The engine's roar faded into a trembling silence as the motorcycle rolled to a stop on the sunlit street, and in that instant, everything Kellen Voss had survived for 10 long years suddenly felt meaningless. The house in front of him was painted the same pale blue he remembered, the porch still crooked, the oak tree still throwing its familiar shadow across the driveway in the bright afternoon light. This was supposed to be the moment that stitched his broken life back together. Instead, the sight through the open front door shattered his heart before he even took off his helmet. Kellen had crossed deserts, borders, and prison gates to come home. He had left as a reckless Hell's Angel with blood on his knuckles and rage in his chest, believing distance would protect the woman he loved from the man he had become. 10 years earlier, he had kissed his wife Mara goodbye under this same blazing sun, promising to return a better man. 10 years of silence followed, filled with regret, loneliness, and the slow, painful work of change. Now, as he stood frozen on the sidewalk, he saw a man inside his house standing close to Mara, one hand resting on her back in a way that felt far too familiar. The world tilted, and Kellen's heart broke in a way no prison fight or roadside ambush ever had. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of redemption, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Only Kindness. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Kellen had imagined this return 1,000 times during endless afternoons riding alone under harsh daylight, the sun beating down on highways that stretched like judgment itself. In those dreams, Mara would hear his bike, step onto the porch, and recognize the man he had fought to become. He would see forgiveness in her eyes, or at least the possibility of it. What he never imagined was standing outside his own home feeling like a stranger while another man occupied the space where his life was supposed to be. His chest tightened, memories flooding back of the young woman who once waited up nights just to hear his engine, who believed even a Hell's Angel could learn to be gentle. 10 years earlier, Kellen had been known on the road as Iron Voss, feared for his size and his temper. Violence had been easy, kindness almost impossible. When a deal went wrong and an innocent man was hurt, something inside Kellen cracked. The law caught up with him soon after, and facing prison, he made the hardest decision of his life. He cut ties, left his club, and disappeared without explanation, believing Mara would be safer forgetting him. Prison stripped him down in ways no fight ever could. Day after day under the harsh daylight of the yard, he learned discipline, restraint, and remorse. He worked in the library, learned to read beyond manuals and maps, and discovered that guilt could be transformed into purpose. After his release, Kellen didn't return right away. He spent years doing hard, honest work, rebuilding bikes during the day and volunteering at a shelter in the afternoons, all under the open sky that reminded him freedom was fragile. He wrote letters he never sent, each one a confession of his failures and a promise he wasn't sure he deserved to keep. By the time he finally turned his bike toward home, his hair had silvered at the temples, his tattoos had faded, and his anger had been replaced by a quiet resolve to accept whatever awaited him. Now, standing in the bright midday sun, Kellen felt smaller than he ever had behind bars. Through the window, he saw Mara laugh softly at something the man said. That sound cut deeper than any blade. She looked older, stronger, her posture confident in a way that told Kellen life had gone on without him. The man beside her was neatly dressed, his presence calm and grounded, everything Kellen had once failed to be. For a moment, Kellen considered leaving without announcing himself, disappearing again so she would never have to face the ghost of her past. But fate, stubborn and unforgiving, pushed him forward. A neighbor recognized the bike and froze, eyes wide with disbelief. That single glance drew Mara's attention toward the door. When she saw Kellen standing there, helmet in hand, sunlight outlining his worn face, the color drained from her cheeks. Time seemed to stall in that bright afternoon, the past and present colliding without mercy. The man beside her stepped back instinctively, sensing a history he did not belong to. Kellen stepped inside, every footfall heavy with unspoken years. He took in the familiar scent of old wood and lemon cleaner, the photographs on the wall that no longer included him. The weight of his choices pressed down on him, and for the first time since his release, he felt truly afraid. He realized then that coming home wasn't about reclaiming what he'd lost, but about facing the consequences of leaving. The man's name, Kellen soon learned, was Rowan Hale. He wasn't a rival or an enemy, just a man who had been there when Kellen wasn't. Rowan had helped Mara through nights of uncertainty, through the grief of abandonment, through learning to live without answers. There was no hatred in Rowan's eyes, only caution and a quiet strength that made Kellen respect him even as jealousy burned in his chest. In the harsh clarity of daylight, Kellen understood something painful and profound. Love did not pause while someone found themselves. It kept moving, finding new forms of survival. Mara listened as Kellen shared pieces of his journey, his voice steady but his hands trembling. He spoke of mistakes, of prisons both physical and emotional, of the man he had worked to become. He did not ask for forgiveness or explanations. He only offered truth, stripped bare. Each word felt like laying another brick on a bridge that might never reach the other side. Mara's face reflected a storm of emotions, hurt battling compassion, memories clashing with the reality of the present. Days passed under the same relentless sun. Kellen stayed at a small motel on the edge of town, unsure if he would be asked to leave or allowed to stay. During the day, he fixed fences for elderly neighbors, repaired bikes for free, and helped at the community center, letting actions speak where words failed. People watched him carefully, whispers following his shadow, but slowly, suspicion softened into curiosity. Kindness, Kellen learned, was quieter than violence but far more demanding. Mara observed from a distance, seeing the man who rose early, worked until his hands bled, and returned to his room alone each night. Rowan, too, noticed, and though the situation strained him, he couldn't deny the sincerity in Kellen's efforts. The tension between the two men was heavy, but it never erupted. Instead, it forced all three to confront uncomfortable truths about love, loyalty, and forgiveness. One afternoon, beneath the blazing sky, Mara finally invited Kellen to walk with her through the old park where they once dreamed of a future. She listened as he admitted that leaving had been an act of fear disguised as sacrifice. She confessed the pain of waiting, the anger of unanswered questions, and the slow healing that came with letting go. There were no easy resolutions, only honesty unfolding in the open air. By the end of that walk, something shifted. Not a reunion, but a release. Kellen realized that redemption did not guarantee restoration. Sometimes, being a better man meant accepting that the life you wanted belonged to someone else now. That understanding hurt, but it also freed him. He could love Mara without possessing her, protect her happiness even if it didn't include him. In that acceptance, he found a peace he had never known before. As weeks turned into months, Kellen prepared to leave town again, this time without running. He had been offered steady work restoring motorcycles in a nearby city, a chance to build a future grounded in the man he had become. On his last day, the sun shone brightly, as if honoring the clarity he had gained. Mara met him at the edge of town, gratitude and affection softening the lines of her face. Rowan stood beside her, not as an adversary, but as someone who shared her present. Kellen rode away with a lighter heart than when he arrived. He carried no bitterness, only the knowledge that love, when real, wished well even from afar. The road stretched ahead under the open sky, and for the first time, Kellen felt he was riding towards something instead of away from everything. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe that people can change and that kindness can exist even in heartbreak, please show your support by liking this video, sharing it, and subscribing to Only Kindness. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who need hope. Before the ending, we have a special request. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe second chances can change lives. Kellen never returned as Iron Voss, the feared Hell's Angel. He moved forward as a man who had learned that redemption is not about reclaiming the past, but about honoring it by doing better in the present. And under the endless daylight of new roads, his story became one of quiet courage, proving that even a shattered heart can still choose kindness.